I am Ian Ginn, your host, and today we're at the World Summit on the Information Society, WSIS, which took place in parallel to the AI for Good Summit in the summer at the Palais Expo in Geneva in July. As I was there, I was looking for interesting podcasts, and having done so, I came across this interesting project, which is why we're having this interview today. My guest today is Philippe Lattes, who is president and co-founder of Leo Blue, a startup driving innovation in the space sector and a seasoned leader in international space industry projects. With over 25 years of experience, he has managed and supported major space programs and incubators in France and Europe, helping them to shape the future of space applications and entrepreneurship. Welcome, Philippe, to the podcast.
Thank you, Jan, for your introduction and for the invitation.
So do you mind just saying a few words about yourself? By the way, your introduction I had was from AI. So that's how good AI is or not. I don't know if you agree with it. And tell me a bit more about this exciting project that you've got.
Okay, so as you mentioned, I have a long experience in space. And for 4 years, I'm collaborating with a French development agency. And in this frame, I had the opportunity to come in different countries in Africa, in Asia, and so on. And I had the feeling that the connectivity is much less developed than we have in Europe, and that the needs for the population to be informed in case of disaster, in case of humanitarian crisis is very high. And so I made this pact. And so I asked to myself why we are not able to find a very simple, affordable way to communicate with all people in the world. And so I had the idea to explore something that we all have in our pocket. I mean, the smartphone with the Bluetooth, which is the main standard of a smartphone. Of course, everyone told to me it's impossible to send information from satellites at 600 kilometers to a smartphone using Bluetooth. Everyone was telling me it's impossible, but I don't like this word. So I went to go to see one of my friends, which is one of the best professor in telecommunication in France. And he said it was impossible, but he had a look. And finally, after some months of work, we have found a way to do that. So we have set up patents on that, and we have shown that we're able to send information directly to your smartphone from satellites, open the door to a universal communication system.
Fantastic. So would I be right in saying it's one direction? So because the reason why I say this is that my understanding is, of course, from a satellite, I have the ability to send more energy, let's say, whereas my smartphone, if I try to think of the aerial around it, is very limited. So you're talking about like a broadcast type of approach of sending information to the smartphone.
You are completely right, Jan. We are using a specific mode of a Bluetooth, which is an advertising mode, which is a unidirectional mode. And so we don't need to have a coupling, we can say, or exchanges between the smartphone and the satellites. This is one of the key of our idea. It's to use only this mode. And so your smartphone is able to receive any kind of information coming from this mode without sending anything.
Today's episode is sponsored by IFG Consulting Europe, who help operators to tap into technologies to accelerate digitization of the network, drive revenues, and reduce costs by championing promising software providers in telecoms, enterprise, and mobile markets. Go to ifgconsultingeurope.com to find out more.
We've had some interesting other episodes, by the way, recently where a lady was involved with the project helping people in the Amazon to also broadcast information to the local community about people who are illegally removing the logs and the deforestation. So it fits in very nicely with some of the other projects that other people that are on our podcast can do. So I guess your initial idea was, I want to create ubiquitous connectivity so everyone can connect. Does the satellite have to be a particular height, or is that really less important?
So our strategy is not to develop our own satellites because for personal reason, I think there are already a lot of maybe too many satellites. So my idea is really not to develop new satellites, but to develop a small module that we could embed on existing satellites. I mean, we will put a module in a satellite that will be launched in the coming year. And so our idea is to build a network using, we can say, platforms that are already foreseen in the coming year. And so the idea is our module could be able to adapt itself to various characteristics of the satellites, and in particular the altitude, because some satellites are at 400 kilometers, some are at 600, some are 800. So the module we are building will be compatible with different elevation.
Okay. But again, you can onboard it on offer it to the various constellations and say, guys, this is good technology.
Exactly.
And I think before this call, we had an interesting discussion because I asked you the question about AI and are you using AI? Because that's just something which is topical. And you came up with an interesting angle on that. Could you share a bit more about that?
Yes. Okay. Our first idea is to use our satellite as a relay. I mean, you send an information to the satellite to say there is an alerting for this area. When the satellite is arriving on the area, the satellite will send the message to anyone on the ground, and the people who have the good apps, the good application, they will receive the alert or the information message. This is, we can say, the baseline. But recently we had a new idea because, as you know, the artificial intelligence is coming within satellites. I mean, today most of the satellites, the Earth observation satellites, they are, we can say, a bit stupid. I mean, they are taking photo, and when they are passing above an antenna, they send the complete images on the ground. They are not making any analysis, any filtering. Now the trend is to embed on the satellites some algorithms that are able to extract interesting information. When you are extracting interesting information, for example, the beginning of a fire or a pollution, etc., the interest is to be able to send this information very quick on the ground. And so now, for this purpose, we will develop a module that could be embedded in Earth observation satellites to allow the Earth observation satellites to communicate directly with, we can say, customer on the ground. This means the satellite is passing, making analysis, and sending the information directly to the interested people.
Fantastic. That's, as I say, an interesting comment about, as I say, in the way the satellites are, how they're developing and adding intelligence on top and being able to deliver certain use cases. Maybe it's an overused word, but services, if you like, generating services in the sky as such. Well, beyond the clouds, we're going beyond the clouds here.
Yes, exactly.
As such, and so. I mean, it sounds promising. And I think there was a presentation from ESA, so the European Space Agency, where this technology was mentioned, and I think the company, right? So is this now a standard, or is it going to be a standard? Where's that? Where are we in that sort of journey?
So what we could say is that what we call the direct-to-device, I mean the capability for satellites to communicate directly with a smartphone or object, is really the trend regarding the communication. So a lot of companies are doing that, a lot of standards are under construction to be able to integrate, we can say, space and ground telecommunication of people. In this field, we are developing a very specific. It can be seen as a niche. So the interest of a solution, it's that it's a really standard. I mean, we are able to reach the 8 billion of smartphone of Earth. We are able to reach the 30 billion of objects using Bluetooth. So it's a kind of niche because we are not, as you mentioned, we are not bidirectional. The volume of data is limited, but in another hand, it's much more universal than all the other solution. And we think that the cost of our solution will be much lower than all the other solution. So in this field, we can say that we have a way for our solution. There is a way for our solution in the direct to device world, we can say.
And the million-dollar question is, how have the satellite operators, or even I guess, in a way, I could be the satellite operators, but it also, of course, could be driven by end customers, if you like, could be governments or other people interested. What's the feedback you're getting from the market? And let's say the million-dollar question really is, when do we expect to see this in service?
Okay, so the first very interesting things, and I was in Geneva for this reason, it's that ITU, which is the organizer of the Congress in Geneva, where we were together. ITU is a member of Early Warning for All program managed by United Nations. In this program, there are several pillars, and one of the pillars is how we could be able to reach any people, anyone, anywhere.
At any time.
At any time, yes, at any time. And we are bringing one potential solution. And ITU is really interested to follow what we are doing because it's, one more time, we think we have a really low-cost solution, universal, and a solution that could be sovereign, which is something very important because when we are speaking about alerting, when you are a country, you don't like that your message go to USA before to come back in your country. And so we are able to propose a solution which could be completely sovereign. I mean, okay. And so this could be really something which is a breakthrough regarding the other solution that need to the signal to go in different country before to come back in the country. So what we could say is the ITU is considering our subject as an interesting one, and we begin to discuss with potential users, potential customers, etc., to precise our product and our services.
So I come back to the million-dollar question. When do you hope to have this in service?
What in terms of development? So we have finished the R&D, the first R&D phase. We have shown that it works under a stratospheric balloon, and now we are raising some funds to launch our first module. I hope next year to make tests in a real condition because the customers they are like Saint Thomas, as you mentioned in France, and they like to see that it works. And so we need to make this demonstration to show that you are able to receive on your smartphone a message sent by satellite using Bluetooth. So this is really the next step. So now I'm discussing with some VC or some business angel to form the first module that we will send in space, I think, and I hope next year.
I think there is a huge interest. I mean, I'm thinking of, I was in Germany and I was in the UK recently where there were national alert systems tested. So this seems to be definitely a way that governments also are looking for. The reason why I point out governments, I know governments can be slow. At the same token, they also theoretically have money, but that might be borrowed, but that's another matter. But okay, so you were there to actually, as I say, share your idea with the world, and of course, then and try and get some sponsorship and collaboration as well. So hopefully for this podcast as well, that we get some people who are listening in from governments as well, who go, actually, we'd like to hear more, and also private agencies, investors as well. So let's hope for that. A few more questions. So obviously, in a way, you're trying to do your bit to help the world be better. But outside of this project, what other key issues do you think we need to address in the world? Have you got some other topics which sort of are near to you or important to you?
Regarding artificial intelligence, currently I'm a bit worried about the power consumption of this subject. So I think the question of the sharing of energy at a worldwide level is one of my concern. I mean, because with artificial intelligence, I think it's more dedicated with to, we can say, a developed country, and so I'm afraid we are increasing the difference and the capacity of the country to use this new technology in terms of energy, in terms of internet access, and so on. And to be honest, this is one of the points it worries me. And I'm happy to try to contribute a bit to try to solve this this problem of connectivity and of universalism, we can say, of the information sharing the information.
Fantastic. Are you also aware of other companies in the sector who are, in working towards the 17 UN sustainability goals? And any companies that stand out to you, which you benchmark and are doing good?
Yeah. What I prefer, to be honest, is not really company. When we are speaking about space, it's the initiative from, we can say, foundation or crowdfunding that are developing satellites for, we can say, the interest of everyone. For example, there is a foundation in US, which is Space for Fire or something like this. Sorry. It's to develop satellites to monitoring forest fire. That is a foundation. In Ukraine, there is a foundation. No, it's a crowdfunding. They have buy some images and so on for humanitarian subject and so on. So honestly, I really think that space could be in parallel to the commercial use as well. On space, we can say, in which it could be interesting to have a non-profit action, because by definition, space is universal. I mean, once you have one satellite, you are able to deliver the service everywhere, even with one satellite. So for me, but maybe I'm a bit idealist, surely, but I'm really interested in this kind of initiative.
Perfect. I understand where you're coming from. It makes total sense that it is, the universe is universal in that sense. I mean, it's like, I'm sure in French there's a similar words and combination of meaning. But one thing we do need to think about the future, and one of the things that came out of the AI for Good Summit was they're mentioning that Generation Alpha, born into this AI world. I know you already made a comment about your concerns about AI, but if, let's say, these young people will have to live with AI and they want to get involved with AI for good, have you got any recommendations how they should approach it?
So it's very linked about my previous answer. It's that the fact that IA is very powerful tool, but it's a very what is the name? It's a tool which is demanding a lot of energy, a lot of resources. And if I may to give advice, is always to keep in mind the cost. I mean, the real cost for the planet about what we are doing. It's a bit like to put something in the trash. For this, we are conscious now. We are trying to make some selection about the waste. But for the use of IA, we have not this habit to say, okay, I will not do something which is useless using IA. because even that is consuming. So it's really to keep in mind every time all the effect of all we are doing. It's a kind of individual responsibility, yeah? And I think we have all to be responsible what we're doing each minute.
Well, maybe we've just invented, and while you're speaking, I'm someone that likes to think of when someone's speaking. And I think we could come up with an app. And I was thinking the big problem with AI is as a user, I use it and I don't see the background effect or the cost. So maybe, obviously, there's certain powers in the world at the moment that don't really want it to be transparent. But there is, I'm sure, a way of a mechanism where you could say, actually, for each search, that search just did, this is how much CO2 or whatever energy you've just used. So create that awareness will also create that consciousness. So there you go. That's another project, Philippe, that you can drive with the French ecosystem as well that you're heavily involved with. Last point is we do, as a podcast, like to do good ourselves. We like to give our guests the opportunity to give a shout out. Is there anyone or any institution or project that you want to give a shout out for? You've already mentioned some good causes, but I'm thinking of something else, maybe something else that you haven't mentioned so far.
No, in fact, I'm interested to identify all the potential application of our system, because I'm sure that there are a lot of application in, for example, in Africa that we don't imagine, because here we are all connected and so on. Another problem, I really would like to identify potential new use, for example, to be able to send information to small farmers, to inform them about some any object, or maybe to give some education capabilities in a very isolated area. We could imagine a lot of things, in fact. And so I'm looking for this idea.
So, I mean, one of the events I'm aware of, because I go to a number of events, is AfricaCom, which happens, I think, in November down in Cape Town. But it sounds like there should be some events where it'd be good to maybe do a workshop or something. Because I think that you need two parts of the story. Is one, of course, you to explain to people the capability and then ask them to give ideas. But until they understand what's possible, the art of the possible, as we say, it's most likely difficult for them to imagine it. And the same point is there'll be situations which they are living with daily, which you can't imagine as well. So it's a two-way street as such. Anyway, Philippe, it's been a great pleasure, and it was really nice to have met you. And I say, it grabbed my attention, this idea that we through Bluetooth can create ubiquitous coverage. And I thought this is going to be an interesting podcast, and it has been. So thank you very much, and look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you very much.
We are honoured to be media partners with Connected Britain, which is an event bringing the various stakeholders together related to connectivity in the UK, which was held at the Excel in London in September. The date for next year's event has been announced, so please mark your calendars for the 9th and 10th of September 2026. By subscribing wherever you get your podcasts, you can find our interesting interviews from this year's event, including those with AbilityNet, Digital Poverty Alliance, and Deep Green, with a wrap-up being released soon. Also, don't forget to join the community by following us on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned.